Gibson and Martin, case number 0853617. So we're back for presentation of the order of child support and worksheets. Ms. Martin,
Yes, sir.
prepared those, please hand them to the clerk.
Order of child support and worksheet, please.
Did you forward copies to Mr. Gibson prior to the hearing?
I did not.
So he doesn't have a set to look at?
You can have one right now.
What are you going to look at?
I have one for me as well.
Thank you. Okay, have you read it all, Mr. Gibson?
Well, I've looked at it. I obviously haven't had this time to let it resonate into me as to exactly what it all means, but I've looked through it. It looks like What I can gather here, based on your calculation, I'm to pay 58% of 924, I guess, which is $530 and another amount for health care. It brings it to $629 a month. I am with the state of, what I don't understand here, I'm seeing something here that I'm making support payments to Washington State Support Registry, but on the other hand, I've got paperwork that I just got from the state of Oregon. So again, I don't know where I'm supposed to make it, but I'm dealing with the state of Oregon. I believe that they have jurisdiction over child support since she's filed there, so she says. And I'm in the process of doing a modification because my income at this time does not reflect anywhere near what's on here. And I've got paperwork to do that.
Okay. So the child support is based upon the imputed amount of $3,735 to Mr. Gibson. Again, this is based on the median net monthly income table for an individual of his age.
But I don't have that, and I'm working with it. I have an attorney now.
Hang on, please. It's further based upon income to Ms. Martin in the sum of $2,714. Again, that was imputed at the median net monthly income table of the state of Washington. The court used those numbers as there was insufficient evidence at trial to impute based upon the other factors of current rate of pay, reliable historical rate of pay information, past earnings when there is incomplete or sporadic information of the parent's past earnings, minimum wages in the jurisdiction where the parent lives at a full-time earnings, because the parent has a history of minimum wages or recently came off public assistance, was unemployable, supplemental security, or disability, or was recently released from incarceration, or is a high school student. So based upon those factors, I have used the median net monthly income table to establish the transfer payment.
And I have no problem with that, Your Honors. What's done is done, but going forward it will change as I'll modify. I have no problem with the amount of the $16,000 and change.
Okay, hang on a minute, please. Ms. Martin, you've asked for a credit for health insurance, but there was no testimony at trial that I recall about any health insurance.
No, actually the credit was for Dr. Rosa because Ezekiel's pediatrician wanted him to continue with Dr. Rosa, which is not covered under his medical insurance. So that's $100 a pop for me. So I wanted to share some of that expense. He has full coverage with Oregon, but it doesn't cover Dr. Rosa's services.
And so whose fault is that? Why go to a doctor that there's no coverage?
So when's the last time Ezekiel went to Dr. Rosa?
It's probably been about 5 months because I can't afford it on my own.
And prior to that, how often did he go?
Well, he was seeing him like every 2 weeks when I could afford it, but it was as I can afford it. But the doctor's recommendation was that he continue with him, so I'm...
Why is it necessary for him to see the doctor every month?
Well, it was her recommendation that this was a good place for him to deal with the issues that all of our angst has caused him so that he can stay healthy going forward.
I thought he didn't have any issues. He was doing well.
And the $100 represents what?
That's his fee. It's $100 a visit for Dr. Rosa. But I'd be happy to eat that.
And you've also got education expenses for $20. What's that for?
Well, that's what the schools hit me up for with supplies constantly, and there are no funds for gifted children programs, so I'm paying for programs out of my pocket. But I'd be happy to pay for all of it.
Okay, so you're not objecting to disregarding the items that you've asked credit for and established it at 536?
Sure.
We'll make that change then.
And Mr. Gibson was asked to bring his own worksheet today. I figured we would be haggling back and forth, but he didn't.
You know, what's done is done. This has been the...
Okay, so you didn't bring a worksheet?
He was told to.
Yeah, I was prepared to pay the 16. And then going forward, according to the state of Oregon, I can modify this at another time, which I will. So I just don't have that income at this point.
Neither do I, but I still have to provide, so whatever.
Do you have a $50,000 interest in a piece of real estate?
He said his
Yes.
home was worth $200,000 and he's a quarter owner in it and they were getting a loan against it.
The answer is yes, he said.
However, Your Honor, well, I'll let you.
There's an entry here on the worksheet that says additional factors or consideration assets, and she put down a quarter interest in a $200,000 real estate as a $50,000 interest of yours.
That's correct.
Okay, then I'll just leave it there.
That's where the money's coming from.
Okay. All right. Now, this order does provide for the allocation of uninsured medical expenses, Mr. Gibson. So if there are any uninsured medical expenses for Ezekiel, you're responsible for 58% of them, and she's responsible for 42% of them, based upon the factors. It's your responsibility to get the bills to him within 30 days of incurring the bill. He then has 30 days to pay you or to set forth his objections as to why.
Is there,
Listen, please, as to why he doesn't think he should pay you. If it reaches that point, then of course you have to go back to court and try and collect it.
I understand.
Understood?
well, I understand that he's going to see a naturopathic doctor whose treatment may or may not be necessary, and I think that if this is something I'm forced into paying every other week, then I think there should be a second opinion as to whether he even needs this or not.
No, you don't have to pay for it. I'm paying for it.
Oh.
That's all done.
Well, okay, that's not what I thought he was just saying. I was paying.
No, if he has a medical bill, like he breaks an arm or something that's not totally covered on my insurance and I have to pay cash, then I can ask you to pay 58% of it.
No problem.
Okay, so
No problem.
Ms. Martin is specifically stating that you will not be required to pay for any naturopathic expenses.
Okay.
Okay? I'll put that in the paper so there's no disagreement in the future. Okay, then the next paragraph, 3.20, has the judgment amount of the $16,367.07. That's calculated by adding the principal back judgment of $15,326 and interest of $1,041. You got the figure, correct, Ms. Martin?
Yeah, actually, I didn't even charge interest on most of it. The only interest I actually calculated was on the two orders, the two previous contempts. I didn't even do interest on all of 2011. So
And this
I'm happy
represents-
with the number.
This represents payment through January 31, 2012.
That's correct.
It doesn't include February.
No.
But your starting date on page eight, top of page 8.
On this 3.20, where she has, towards the bottom of her calculations, not including the 40.
Excuse me. One issue at a time, please.
Okay, page 8.
Page what?
Page 8, paragraph 3.9.
Oh, you're right. I put March.
So that's incorrect.
It is. Should be February.
The judgment goes through January, so it should start February 1, not March 1. Do you see that, Mr. Gibson?
Page 8.
Starting date 3/1/2012.
Should be 2/1. I'm changing it.
Yeah, we're intended to pay her up through February, and maybe even March, depending on how this works out.
Okay. All right, now back to your question on 3.20.
Yeah, that she has an amount down there of 4,500 that we know we've already paid.
No, you still owe 45.
No, I do not. I paid you $4,500. I have a receipt for it.
Yes, and the balance was 9,000. The balance,
Right,
the contempt
there's
was 9,000.
There's still additional sums owing from that 9,000.
It was 9,000, you paid 4,500. The other 4,500 is included here. I made a point of mentioning the 4,500 that did get paid.
Do you see how she got the numbers?
Yeah, but that wasn't a contempt payment. I was to pay $4,500 by that date, or would be held in contempt, and I paid that. So her language here is not including the $4,500 contempt payment on 3/24/11.
It was a payment because you were in contempt. The contempt has not been purged.
Correct. Correct.
That was not my understanding. If I paid the $4,500, then the contempt would be purged. I have paperwork to the effect that you wrote.
So you thought the other 4,500 just went away?
I
'cause you're a
did
good
when you
Joe?
didn't show up for court, and he says that my understanding was she wasn't here. You had some kind of car problem, whatever. But
Any objections?
regardless, I will pay the $16,000 and change.
Great. Today's the day.
Okay.
The child needs child support whether I
Okay.
can make it to court or not.
One other question. On the, do you file taxes every year?
No.
Have you?
I do. I have to file taxes on all of this. This is why one of the things.
Okay, the question was, do you file taxes? Have you been claiming Ezekiel on your taxes?
No, as I don't have him.
So neither one of you have.
I will this time around. According, I have a wealth management attorney now. Who'll handle all this from now on.
So he should be able to claim the child for the tax year
58%.
2011,
Okay.
Sure.
as he's paying $16,000 today.
Sure. Fair enough.
And you need to sign the necessary IRS papers to allow him to do so.
Okay. It's his job to get them to me?
Yes.
Excellent. I'm worn out on paperwork.
Mothers allowed to claim the child for the 2011 tax year, and mothers shall execute any tax forms necessary for father to claim child. Any questions?
Wait a minute. Mother shall,
Execute any tax forms necessary for father to claim child.
I thought you just said he would.
You gotta execute them, you
Oh,
gotta sign
sign it. Got it.
Okay, what about 2012? How do you think that works?
Should work in a similar fashion. If I'm paying, this $500, $600 a month, which will be modified, it'll probably be less than that, at least for
Well,
a
I'm
while.
paying $488, so how
But
does it work?
You're right.
I should be able to
Okay,
claim
let me
what
tell
I
you the
pay.
rule, I just wanted to see
Yeah.
if you had thoughts on it.
Yeah, I don't mind paying for
The
what I
rule
need.
is that you're entitled to claim if you're current in your support obligation by 12/31 of every year.
And so even though I'm paying almost as much, I don't get to claim.
You're not filing a tax return.
Okay,
So I'm including that language here.
okay.
Father,
For 2012, I could.
subsequent years. Okay, so the additional language is that father will also be allowed to claim the child for all subsequent years only if he is current in his child support obligation on December 31 every year.
Fair enough.
Any questions? Okay. All right, anything further, Mr. Gibson,
Yes.
on this order of child support?
No, those figures,
I'm about to execute the order and the worksheets.
that's fine. It's going forward that I'm concerned about. What's done is done.
Okay? Today is the 2nd.
So, a question. When I deal with Oregon Child Support and have this modified and it becomes a different figure than what's here, do we have to now come back to this court to get your blessing, or how does that work? If they've modified going forward, I'm talking about.
You know, I don't know.
It's complicated.
Because what they told me is that they have jurisdiction if child support's coming from the state of Oregon. I'm paying there, so. And you had once said that, well, that you have no jurisdiction over Oregon child support. I'm just trying to figure out, because how it is now, it looks like I'm paying two.
No, they're collecting.
They're just collecting.
Okay, just
You haven't
collecting
paid Jack, but now that you're wealthy, it shouldn't be
My
a problem.
non-judicial answer, Mr. Gibson, is that no, the only orders of support that were ever entered were in Clark County, Washington. And if the Washington state orders are the only one that were ever entered, then those are the ones that are in effect.
Oregon told me they haven't entered an order, and there's a whole
No,
bunch
they're
of
just
stuff to be
collecting
done.
on the Washington order.
Okay, I just
If they
want to
move
know.
forward and move to modify, if you're both residing in Oregon now,
That's what the paperwork I have
that's a
says.
possibility.
Yeah.
But I do not know the conclusive answer to that, so I can't.
All right, well, I'll deal with the state of Oregon child support on that, and whatever they say I have to pay.
Okay, so
Send me a note.
I'm handing these to the clerk, and both of you need to sign these documents at the conclusion of the hearing, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, next.
Okay, next, Your Honor, I have some information here that you need to see, and it's a sequence.
No, hang on a minute.
Okay,
Do you have the check?
that's what I'm getting to.
Apparently not.
That's what I'm getting to. There's 4 of us that own the house. 3 of us have signed off. The brother that's in the house refused to do so, just would not sign. No matter what we did, my other brother, my sister, on him, you got to sign this paperwork. Well, what we agreed to do is take money off of the equity in the house to do some repairs on the house. He still wouldn't sign it. So then we had to agree to, he says, well, if Ezekiel's getting $16,000, what about my girls? So we had to agree to pay $15,000 to the Paul Mitchell School for his second to the youngest daughter to attend school. This is a letter from the attorney. Her card. Here is a copy that he finally did sign.
You provide Ms. Martin copies of all this?
I just got this, I can make copies, and she can see it. I have no problem with that.
I just want the check.
But I wanted to show you that I've been working hard to satisfy this. Here is a letter to you, Judge Ruley, from the escrow person, now stating that now that she has this signature, we can move forward and to get her paid. I want to get her paid as soon as possible. But I can't move faster than...
When are they going to cut the check?
Well, I need a little bit more time. We just got him to sign this thing now. It's signed, so now we can move forward to close the deal. We couldn't before. And so we had to make a deal with him to pay for education for his youngest daughter, and then he signed.
Who's closing this deal?
Lawyer's title.
Who's the escrow officer?
Her name is on there. It is Jenny McGuire. You have her card.
You got a cell phone, Ms. Martin?
Yeah. For another day, I need to pay the bill.
Just curious as to what the status of the check is.
Here's what she told me 2 days ago. Now that we have the signature, we can move forward. Now what has to happen, all of his creditors and debtors have to be notified that we are paying them off. So we send them out emails and faxes, they respond, and then we go ahead and we do that. And that could take several more days unless there's a problem that we haven't foreseen. But I'm doing everything possible that I can. I even had to retain an attorney to make him sign the paperwork, and you see that there. And we're going forward. Now there should not be any more delays. For 30 days he would not sign the paperwork, no matter what we did. But now he has. So now, I don't know. 2 weeks? Could be this time next week. I don't know. But I do know that the problem has now gone away, and we should be able to move forward.
Do you want to call her? Jenny McGuire, escrow
No.
officer?
Yeah, I've been listening to stories for 10 years. I got a son to support.
No, I'm asking you a question. Do you want to call this woman to see when Mr. Gibson's going to get this money?
Is it going to make it happen faster?
Because
I'd
of
like to know
such.
whether it's going to be a week or a month.
Sure, you mean right now? Call
Well,
her?
Yeah.
Sure.
I would like to have an
Sure.
additional 30 days. I mean, I haven't seen Ezekiel September 10th, so she could wait a little
Doesn't
bit
matter
longer
whether he needs to be
get the money.
provided for.
I mean, I'm doing everything I can to get her paid.
I'm going to find out. Ms. Martin has the right to call this.
Yeah,
Title
but she's
officer.
not, this title officer under Oregon law is not going to be able to give her any information on my private business.
Well, you're standing right here, sir.
No, she said the judge could call, but not
All
you.
right.
My
I'll do
private business with my other business
What's the
is
number, Your
not your
Honor?
affair.
503-284-2142.
Who am I asking for?
In fact,
She's not going to talk to her.
dial it, Julie, if you would,
You want me to
please.
call it? Okay.
She'll talk to the judge.
Mm.
She doesn't know who you are.
I'm the one providing for the child year after year.
284-2142. Jenny McGuire, Jenny McGuire, escrow
Is
officer.
there a Jenny McGuire, escrow officer? This is Julie with Judge Ruley in the courtroom in Clark County. Okay, is there anybody else that can speak to her, work? To something she's working on?
Like her
Court-
supervisor.
Her supervisor or somebody the court has a question on one of her matters. Thank you. Go ahead, Brandy's gonna answer.
This is Brandy.
Randy, this is Judge Ruley from the Clark County Superior Court in Vancouver.
Hello.
Good morning. Mr. Wardell Gibson is here with us in court this morning, and we have an issue in regards to his refinance that Jenny McGuire apparently is handling.
Okay.
Do you need the escrow number to bring up the file?
Let me walk over to her office. Okay.
Escrow number is 26F0290785.
Okay.
Do you have it up on your screen?
I actually have the file right here in front of me.
Okay, I am looking for a date when Mr. Gibson is going to receive his refinance.
Okay, unfortunately, I'm not able to give you that date because we don't have any documents from the lender at this time. And the last that Jenny told me is that she's working on getting all of the payoffs for the judgments. She's still waiting for a couple of those to arrive. They've all been ordered, and then as soon as all of those arrive, then she was to be forwarding those over to him for review and proceeding from there, but we don't have any documents from the lender yet.
So if there's several title holders on this property, do you have to search the lenders for, or creditors for all of the borrowers?
We already have.
So what's left then again?
We have already searched for everybody that's currently on title. Jenny has got a title report. She's already done a judgment search against everybody, and everything that's of record has appeared on the title report. And she has ordered payoffs for all of the judgments that are of record. So she's waiting for all of those to come in. We don't have them all yet.
Can you give me a time as to when they may be all in?
She's hoping to have them all in by tomorrow. If not by tomorrow, hopefully by Monday. I mean, it usually is just a process once we've ordered them, waiting for them to arrive.
Okay. Do either Mr. Gibson or Ms. Martin have any questions they want to ask of the escrow representative from Lawyer's Title?
Yeah, I was in her office, this is Thursday, must have been Tuesday, and brought her the death certificates of Wiley Gibson and Thomas Gibson, and the signature for Gerald Gibson, who has all of the judgments. And like you just said, she is ordering all of those judgments from the different debtors, and they should be within a few days. Then we have to once we have that information, is put the lender in first position rather than in 21st because of the 20 judgments that my brother has. And that's what's going on. Then that's done, and then the lender has what he wants and can expedite the lender papers, and we'll cut a check. And I asked her how long she thought that would be. She says probably a week, unless there's some problems. If we're trying to negotiate down everything, then that's a negotiation process, and it could take much longer. But what I'm asking the judge here is for 30 days. Probably we can do this in 2 weeks, now that we have everything signed.
No, you don't have 30 days.
Well, I'm just...
You don't have 30 days. I want this to be a priority on Lawyer's Title's desk, so Ms. McGuire needs to get to this immediately. as I've waited 60 days already for this to occur. So if you
Okay.
can convey that message to her. What was your name again?
My name is Brandy.
Randy?
And what was your name again? I'm sorry.
Judge James Rulli, R-U-L-L-I, Superior Court of the State of Washington in Clark County, Washington.
Okay.
Phone number 360-397-6133.
All right. So I will leave her your information. Let her know that we spoke. That it needs to be a priority, that you've already been waiting for 60 days, and to contact you if she has any questions.
Yes.
Okay?
Anything further that you want to say, Ms. Martin?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't think it'll impact their job. They got to do what they got to do.
This is for collection of back child support that Mr. Gibson is trying to secure these funds to pay off.
Okay.
One of the consequences of not paying your child support is potential incarceration, going to jail.
Correct.
So I want to stress upon you, so that you can stress upon to Ms. McGuire, the dire consequences that this proceeding may eventually affect if this isn't done immediately.
Okay.
So it's not to file
I
a lien.
realize, Miss Brandy, that, you can only do so much, but like I said, we've been at this for 2 months.
Okay.
Actually, it's
Wait a
been out
minute.
there for several months because there's not been any child support paid. Any questions, Brandy?
No.
Anything further from the parties?
I chose not to file a lien so that his loan could go through, but I can always ask the Child Support Division to do that if necessary.
Your Honor, I'm doing everything
Okay, thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Bye.
within
Bye-bye.
reason to do this, and there's things that are